Yes, this is the 260. I'm Joe Walburn. I'm joined by the man they call the mayor of the 260, Dave Rickert, and we're just rolling through the 260, laying down great content. Just had Blake Davison.
Another great guest.
Just that's the kind of kid you want as your son. Just so impressive, well-spoken, done so well.
Great parents.
And now we're going to talk a little bit of coaching with the great Matt Brumbaugh, and I'm proud to present the Don Meyer Award winner, the NAIA Coach of the Year, and we are so lucky to have him in the 260 with Indiana Tech, the great Ted Albert. Congratulations, Ted, on the Coach of the Year.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I don't know about the great, but I appreciate that.
Well, what you guys did, you're great.
After a run like that, Ted, and I tell you what, Ted, talk a little bit about this group this year, and tell us, too, when it kind of you really had that feeling this is a special group, because that was a special run. And some of those wins in that NAIA tournament, you guys really had to dig down and battle back.
And, I mean, that's a testament to the type of group we had, to be honest with you. You know, we had been through some adversities in their earlier years, and just a group that continued to battle. You know, playing hard and asking them to give me everything they had was never an issue with this group. And so once they started to figure out how to put all of it together, it made things pretty easy for me. I won't lie about that one. But
so when you're in the recruiting process of this current squad you had, did you see great leadership in a lot of these kids?
Oh, early on, especially. You know, this was my first full group. So when I took over,
you're taking over,
inherited a couple others.
Troubles.
Yep, and not only, I mean, we had great kids before as well, but I took over in June, so you know we're starting in August, and so it kind of gave me a whole year to get that first class together, and thankfully we made a few good choices. So
yes, you did.
And Matt, you can speak to this too, but Ted, how difficult is it now? Because you've got so many kids kind of transferring in and kids coming and going. It just seems like now you have to really do a lot more blending of players and teams, and it feels like you have to really coach and teach on the run to blend it all together.
Yeah, especially with that transfer portal. It's gotten pretty crazy, and you know, the thing about the portal is there are so many different reasons why kids enter. Not everybody's in the same group, and I'd rather, on some token, build with 4-year kids, you know, build that foundation. But the way that the landscape is gone, even looking at the Final Four, how many transfers were on a lot of those rosters.
Real quick.
It's amazing when you watch these teams play how much the teams change. And it feels like with basketball, Ted, you really got to be able to play together and know each other's game. But it seems like every year, even the major programs, it just seems like the roster, the changeover is so drastic.
It's incredible, especially being able to put that puzzle together as quickly as they do, finding that chemistry, which, you know, the group that we just had, the chemistry that we had was built from the past and continued to you know evolve and
build.
Putting together that quickly is can go really well or can go really poorly.
So Matt, main reason I wanted you on here, Matt was assistant coach at Indiana Tech baseball.
Yes, very decorated.
But he coached the World Series. I want to know the correlation between the week preparation and keeping the kids together, keeping them focused. So go ahead, Matt.
Yeah, well, the main thing, just like Coach said, is that you got to have a good group of kids that understand what your philosophy is and how you're going to go about your business. We had great kids. I mean, it was unbelievable the time, effort that was involved to get us to that point. And when you have a group of guys and you're getting ready to play, I mean, baseball's a little bit different. You have your scouting reports on teams and this and that, but at the end of the day, you still got to go out there, throw it. You got to hit it. You got to catch it. And we caught getting hot at the right time, obviously. But we were steady throughout the year. We knew our disciplines. We had our disciplines. We knew exactly, what we were going to get out of every pitcher. I mean, we had guys. I mean, Kenny Fisher pitched in the World Series. I think 3 or 4 times he started within a week.
Wow.
And I can always remember this story. I was going after we won the semifinal game, and we're getting ready to go in the championship. Kenny had pitched on Friday, and I'm going up to do the press conference, and one of the coaches goes, who you throwing tomorrow? I go, who the hell you think I'm throwing? Are you kidding me? And they go, you can't throw him again. I said, if I go to that room and tell him he's not going to throw, I'm going to end up being thrown out of a window of a hotel room.
Right.
So I mean, but again, it comes down to how you prepare. Same thing. You got to have a great group of kids and stay focused on the main goal, which was always winning the national championship.
And like you said, your team was steady in wins all the way through. You guys were very good in the conference.
18-2.
Yeah, 18-2 in conference. This is the group. I mean, you go back and look at their careers. We had a hard time getting over that 9, 10, 11 game win streak.
Sure.
So they, especially that last one at home in the conference tournament, I knew that this group was going to respond in a positive way. But I would say, just to piggyback off that a little bit, the accountability that this group had, player-led accountability, where I didn't have to monitor and do all of those things for them.
Sure, they're coaching themselves.
It was, I mean, that's
You've
why I
always said that, man. When a team coaches itself,
that's why you develop your older guys to get to that point where they can let it rip and police everything, and you're just going in and pulling the strings and getting the strategies put together.
You both coached in national championship games
for the same school.
Was it hard as a coach not to kind of get sped up? Because I would have probably been bouncing off the walls. I mean, how did you, because obviously your kids are going to feed off you, Ted and Matt. How did you guys kind of stay level and not get so sped up with the excitement of a great season?
Well, I'll take it first. I think with me, I got put in a tough spot right away.
Sure you did.
Coach Hirschberger got hit with a line drive that week. Didn't know if he was going to be able to travel, and unfortunately he was not. He ended up with blood clot and couldn't take the chance of going down. So I was flying down to Tulsa. They bust down. I had my job. I had to fly down, and
sure.
Right before I got on there, I was talking to him on the phone, and he goes, "You got a speech tonight for the banquet." And I was like,
wow.
Whoa, man. I'm on the plane trying to first thing I said was, we're the team without a coach. I kind of spilled off. But, yeah, I think for me, in my roles with the team, being kind of the bench coach and being in a spot where I did a lot of scouting, and that was my job.
Yeah.
I always just tried to keep it simple with the guys when it came to my philosophies on stuff. It was like, guys, it's a ball game. We're not going to go out there and we're just playing another team. That's kind of how we went about it. We had a routine every day. We were, team meeting. It was funny because we'd always have our team meeting after I can't think of the guy's name, Jerry Springer. Yeah, Jerry Springer. You could hear the hotel room, and you could hear our clowns going, Jerry. I'm like, well, we'll wait until 11 o'clock to have the meeting. But we always had a meeting every day.
Sure.
And then we go to the ballpark, and we just, we gave them the scouting report before, and then we just go at it. And, we had, again, when it comes down to leadership, though, Mark Baker was our leader behind the plate, catcher. Came from Chico State. He was a national champion there.
Hey, Ben, can you pull up Indiana Tech's pictures, please?
Yeah, and
Chico State, huh?
Chico State D2. He was a national champion catcher.
Wow.
And they let him go.
Really?
And,
wow.
So back to what Matt was saying. What was you doing with your team during the week, during the day?
I'll be honest, it was a blur, but didn't sleep a whole lot. Thankfully, I have really good assistant coaches that really help with that scouting report.
Was the wife and kids with you or not?
Wife and daughter were with me. Thankfully, my parents were there. My father-in-law was there.
Good.
My sister was there, so
Family
they could
affair.
help. Yeah, they could help a little bit. But shoot, when we played Tuesday, Wednesday, got Thursday off, played Friday, Saturday. So those scouting reports without a day break.
Tough.
You gotta figure them out quick. So thankfully we had, all hands on deck with my assistants, and they do a really good job of of breaking a lot of that down, but also in a language that I speak, because everybody approaches things a little differently, and not only that, but how our guys, kind of ingest that and then are able to apply it. So it was a blur, but you know what? It was kind of just always like on to the next step. There wasn't really much time to think about the last one or even celebrate it or be thankful for it. We were already moving on to that next one.
I would say I would agree. You don't. It is a blur. I mean, you just kind of you're playing. You're in that mode, and then it's on to the next one. I agree 100%.
Yep.
Would you say championship game the greatest coaching you ever did in your life?
Well, we were down
23.
Yeah, so I hope
come back from that.
I hope not.
Okay, it might have been your worst coaching in the first
The
half.
second half was your best
Coaching.
Yeah, that's just the resiliency of the group that we had.
That's why we was talking with Blake. We was like, "What's going on at halftime?"
I mean, I'll be honest. It was, obviously, I would say that I was a little displeased with some of the effort. Maybe not effort, maybe focus. That's probably a better way to put it. But right before the
Did you
halftime,
pull a Zach Eady and go through the whiteboard?
No, I didn't. I didn't. But again, just because we had an older group, my trust and our staff's trust that we had in our guys, it never wavered. And I think
awesome.
that's a testament to who they were as a group. And over time, we talk about, trust is a feeling. It's not something you can give someone else. So it's something you have to build over time, and that's where, we trusted these guys, and we were going to go out one way or the other. So it was up to them to lay it all out, and they certainly did. So,
with the coaching for you guys, for you and Matt, how much did it help being a decorated player? I mean, you, Ted, you had 12 letters in high school.
That's unheard of.
It's unbelievable. And I got to say, I'm a football guy, man.
Yeah.
Bro, you ran for over 4,000 yards and 45 touchdowns. And so I got to ask, man, before you get to
It's
that.
the football mentality and he's coaching.
yeah, I love
Why basketball for you and not football? Because if I'm not mistaken, you were the player of the year in football.
Yeah, we had, again, those stats may be a little slighted because we did run the wing T. So I
But
got
4,000
got
yards.
4,000
Hey,
yards,
4,000
man.
yards is 4,000 yards, brother.
And 45 touchdowns.
And we were a football school. Still kind of are, I guess I should say. But
Sure.
Football, the prevalence in Michigan it's a football state, certainly. So, I honestly, being able to play a little over 3 years on varsity football probably helped some of those stats. And
Sure.
Were you a fast kid?
no, I wouldn't consider myself a fast one. No,
You just ran hard between the holes,
You just wanted to
didn't
lay,
you?
Yeah.
lay some wood down.
Tell him, Ted, you just ran hard between the holes. But you know what, though, Ted? Talk about, and you and Matt, too, how much did it help you just to be a player that played all the different sports? You were a decorated college basketball player. How much did that really help you, kind of catapult you into coaching?
Well, certainly we love dual athletes. We love guys that play more than one sport. And, at some of the bigger schools nowadays, it's a lot more difficult to do. But we love tough kids. And I think football teaches you something that no other sport can. And certainly
He had
those
some
lessons.
D1 offers.
I think that basketball was just always my true love. I knew that that's what I wanted to do. Actually, Gus Macker, the 3-on-3 Gus Macker, actually originated in my hometown. So I grew up playing 3-on-3, and that bully ball style of basketball, and that's probably more suited for my game, especially nowadays where I can't guard this table anymore. So the less I have to move, the better.
So tell the people out there, what is your hometown?
I'm from Belding, Michigan.
And that's just outside Grand Rapids, right?
Yep.
Of Grand Rapids.
Yep.
The western part of the state. Beautiful area up
Another
there.
thing, in Michigan, my nephew and now his son, wrestling is a big deal up there. And he was a big-time wrestler, but he had to make a choice.
I don't know about big time. You guys are being nice, but I got to that. I got to the point to where once you get into middle school and high school, you got to kind of make a choice because they're at the same time. So, my dad was a really good wrestler and was a catcher, so you know that he was just a tough guy. And one of those things where I had to make that choice, and thankfully I'm sitting here now, so I think I might have made the right one.
What position do you play in baseball?
I played first.
Really?
Yep, first base. First, and depending on how wild I was that day, third. Sometimes I pitched. I mean, if it was a game where I was the type of pitcher that I was either going to strike you out or walk you, and sometimes it resulted in a lot of walks. So
hitting wise,
I batted fourth, and
you had to do something right because you was all conference your junior to senior year.
Yep, and I played. I mean, I was lucky. Even my 8th grade year, got to go on the spring trip with our varsity team, and
wow.
Didn't play. Obviously, it's not Kentucky. You don't get like 7 or 8 years of eligibility in high school. So
Exactly.
But just kind of learning, how things were done, and that approach, I think, was certainly a big time experience for me. And both my parents are coaches, were coaches.
So it's in the blood.
It's 100% in our blood, no doubt about it. They're not anymore because they're at all of our games. So
were they coaches in your high school, or?
Yes. Yep.
Well, so
Yep.
your dad.
My dad coached. He started out as an assistant on the football team. In '94 and '97, we won state championships in football, and then went on to coach women's softball. And then my mom was a volleyball coach at our high school, and was a really good volleyball player as well. My sister played volleyball in college, so just one of those things. That's what I grew up shooting at volleyball.
Else.
Yeah, I mean, I was on the side hoop shooting with a volleyball. That's kind of how I started to fall in love with the game of basketball. So, and my dad's only like 5'10", so I'm by far the tallest in our family. So at my size, not a great wrestler.
How did you pick Cornerstone?
You know what? I grew up. So my pastor growing up did a lot of the kind of devotions in the morning, and in Grand Rapids at that particular time, that was the basketball camp to go to. A lot of the top talent in the Grand Rapids area, almost like now you have all these elite camps.
Yeah.
That was kind of the elite camp.
Sure.
So I went to camp there for 5 or 6 years straight with a lot of my friends and a lot of the guys I played AAU with that were also really good players, and just fell in love with the campus and the area, and obviously, the Christian background was really important to me. And
Sure.
Coach E is still there and has won a lot of games there. So I wanted to win. We didn't win a whole lot of games in my basketball career in high school, so I wanted to go somewhere and be a part of something bigger than just me, and the winning part was really important as well.
Very good.
How'd you make your way to Indiana Tech?
Well, it's a great question. Honestly, it just kind of all happened, certainly divinely led. I'm not naive enough to think that I got here on my own. So went from my playing career to an assistant coach at Cornerstone, was the head JV coach there for a few years, and really just kind of fell in love with the recruiting and the scouting and kind of everything that goes into it. And, thankfully we won a national championship my senior year at Cornerstone. And then
Yes.
we won another one when I was an assistant in 2015. And then we were runner-up the very next year. And then, Jesse Biggs, who's our women's coach and our athletic director, reached out to me after I'd applied. And thankfully she and the committee chose me. So
It was a
Great
great
choice.
Great
yeah,
choice.
I'm thankful for it.
Matt, with the coaching that you and Ted have done, how important is it to have the support of your family?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, they're the backbone. I mean, my wife is doesn't miss very many games. When I was coaching at Indiana Tech, she did. We were on the road a lot, and when you have 2 young kids, and
Sure.
the thing that was always tough for me was I missed a lot of birthday parties. I mean, my daughters were born on the same day, 2 years apart, in the
Wow.
middle of spring. So that's probably not a good thing if you're a baseball coach. My youngest daughter, Kendall, would always, you didn't even know me for the first 5-6 years of my life. And I go, no, I probably didn't, because that's just the way it was. But just the support was huge. I mean, they, when I went on to coach at Northrop, I mean, they were involved in everything from concession stand to the team party to just, the Facebook page, whatever
golf
it was.
outing, they do a lot of
golf
work.
outing, yeah. I mean, it was everything, and it means the world to me because it allowed me to do what I loved, and that's coaching. And so to have that support, you got to have it. I mean, President Andorfer back in 1998. I think it was 98 or maybe 2000. He said, "Do you want me to fly your family out here since you're?" I said, "No. Hey, I'm the head coach," and they understood. And they were fine at home. I was doing my thing, and when I got home, it was nice to be dad again. But then, but and Ted would say the same thing. I mean, as a college coach, it's a full year job. I mean, baseball, we had 1 month off and that was it. We weren't allowed on the road to recruit. I mean, I can remember times of coming back from the World Series, getting off a plane and getting off a bus and heading right to a ballpark to scout. So,
wow,
to recruit, and that's just the life of a college coach.
And Ted, you're getting to that point right now with AAU getting ready.
It's already here. The longer you play into the year, the quicker it comes. So I'm thankful for that, certainly. But, just alluding to the family support, my wife is the ultimate coach's wife. She gets it. She understands. She knows what she signed up for, but,
sure.
She certainly supports me. And we have a 15-month-old little girl at home, and I'll tell you, it makes coming home after a loss a little bit easier when you see that little one. So
now, I was telling my wife watching the games, you see the coaches' wives, they're wearing every play on their,
Oh yeah,
they're right there.
They do.
Coaches.
They live it.
Does.
I mean, they live it. I mean, I mean,
they
they're
making the
up,
meals for the kids.
Yeah, they're what they've done is invested in what they call their sons.
Yeah.
Now they have, depending on the size of the team, it's their sons now.
Yes.
They take it on, and they take a lot of pride on it. And, my wife's a school teacher. She'll go in and, what we did, it was I kind of flipped the script and helped her out in the classroom is I took all my guys over to her classroom to read to the kids. And I was big, and I wanted
community
to do that
outreach.
stuff. Yeah, and it was great because the kids, they loved it. I mean, those little kids looked up
Giving
at them,
back.
and then all of a sudden they're writing good luck notes and this and that. It's a pretty cool situation.
Yeah.
Now, you guys both had tremendous accomplishments and tremendous athletic moments as players. Does it compare as a coach, or what's that feeling, Ted? I mean, Ted, you were a tremendously decorated athlete, but what's it feel, those moments as a coach?
It's different. It's almost hard to describe because, I still remember when we won it, and just the emotion that takes over your body. Now it's a little different, and now we didn't win the very last one, but the ride that I was on, with these guys in our program, it's really hard to. I'm just now starting to get far enough away from it to be able to take that step back and really understand what our young men accomplished and how you have to be playing well at the right time. You got to have a little bit of magic, and finding all of those pieces at the same time is pretty incredible. So
yeah, I'll jump in there too. The 1998 team that was a runner-up team, as a coach, you're so invested in the game that you don't even think about it until 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the road with these guys, and what they meant to you as not only players but young men and what they became. And we were inducted probably about 6 years ago into the Indiana Tech Hall of Fame.
Wow.
in my first year.
And congratulations, man.
And it's the thing that was cool about it is that almost every player was there. And our baseball club had guys from California, guys from New York, guys from Ohio. I mean, they were all Colorado. They're from all over the place. They are brothers for life.
Yeah.
And it was so cool to be able to do that and hang out with those guys for a weekend. That's, I think, when you realize what you accomplished.
Sure.
I really believe that because, I was lucky. I got to go to 5 more World Series, but you're hoping that time you don't think about it during that time. But now that, again, we've had those accomplishments and those inductions, and, I still talk to those guys on a regular basis now, and it's really cool to text or call.
I can attest to that. I mean, they are a close group.
I mean, all out or get out. That was our motto. That was on the back of our T-shirts, and I tell you what, they were all about it. I mean,
I love it.
They were a bunch of guys. You talk about that transfer portal and stuff. Here's a good story. So, Coach, at the end of the fall, we didn't have a very good fall. We were not very good, and Coach goes, "I'm hitting the recruiting trail right now," and he brought us in Mark Baker, who was the catcher, Rick Jansen, who was first baseman, Jamie Harper played center field, and Danny McFadden played a little bit of left, a little bit of infield. He said,
great names.
And you know what? They came in and they changed the whole culture because of how hard nosed they were. They came from D2s and JUCOs, and they were. And what it did is it solidified our season because we knew going forward, the guy behind the plate was the best leader that I've ever coached.
Wow, that's quite a statement.
And I knew it, and I knew you could just see the feel and the change of the dynamics of the team from the end of the fall to where we were, starting out the season. We came out, we were okay, but we knew we were building because we had to get that pitching staff rolling, and once we did, man, we got hot and it was on.
Man, I don't know if you heard, but his first year was when you guys got inducted.
That's what I heard.
That was my first Hall of Fame banquet.
Yeah, and it was.
That's
great, man.
I can tell
How
you
about the ties? Dave was working magic, bringing you guys on together.
I can tell you a lot. There was a lot of adult beverages drank that night in that bank, but I can tell you that because we had a blast. Again, it comes down to that brotherhood, and that's the cool thing about coaching when it's all said and done. You're so wrapped up in the moment, but again, these guys come back and, hey, coach, how you doing? And, calling for advice or,
sure.
all that stuff. It's just, that's what makes the profession. It is what, that rewarding.
And
so when will this team be inducted? What's the process like?
Well, I don't know what the process is because to be honest with you, the 99 team went in before the 98 team because they put up ungodly numbers and were like,
wow.
50, I think we won 56, almost 60 games.
So it's not a year, a certain year.
No, I think there's a little bit of a wait period, but
10 years.
Yeah,
I believe.
yeah. So
it's 10 years.
Yeah,
I believe.
I mean, it's a process. He'll get there. Trust me. They ain't gonna keep them guys out.
I think he's gonna have a lot more.
Yeah, I think he is.
Yeah.
And Ted, hearing Matt beautifully describe the relationships with past players, is that your purpose? I mean, here you are coaching college basketball. And all the success, the great run in the tournament this year, but you're forming relationships and you're building great young men. Is that the purpose that you found, Ted?
Oh, definitely. I think that's the part that I enjoy the most. I myself and my staff want to create, so I remember what it felt like as a player to be in those situations. And listen, half my wedding party were guys that I played at Cornerstone with. So
sure.
Those relationships and those bonds that you build, especially on the floor through those different types of adversity, you can't get those anywhere else. And so once you've gone through that together, and like I alluded to earlier, that trust, is true and firm. I want to give our guys the same experience and the same feelings and the same relationships that I had and I still have. And I think down the road, like you said, Coach, they'll really understand the magnitude of the love and respect that they have for one another, and never goes away.
No, it doesn't. It's a process. Like you said, the reward of being in coaching is this now. I mean, I'm out, and I get to talk to those guys. Even the high school guys that I've coached in the past. I have a golf outing every year to support the Staff Ready Scholarship, and those guys come back, and it's a fun day because I can jab at them a little bit, and they can jab at me too.
Now they
because
can jab back.
I'm not the one in charge anymore, so it's a lot of fun to have that back and forth with those guys and just enjoy the day. But again, I did it for 32 years as a coach, and every kid at the end of the day,
32 years, brother.
At the end of the day, I loved every one of those kids, whether they knew it or not, and I think we came back, reciprocated the same thing, and it's I get the itch every once in a while. Maybe, get out back
It
out
never
there.
goes away.
No,
Hey,
and
are
it
you-
may.
Are
It
you in
may
need
happen.
of an assistant
No,
basketball?
my
Because
first
he was a heck of a basketball player.
my
at
first
Northwood.
coaching job was a basketball coach at Northwood Middle School.
You're kidding me. I always think of you
I
as
was
a baseball.
I was a sixth grade middle school basketball coach for about 6 weeks, and I really loved it because they were kind of the comedy squad. Go down there, and you're the JV. And I told the head coach, I said, we'll be ready to play here soon, pal. And we did. So I enjoyed that. But, yeah, my basketball roots, playing it and coaching it a little bit. But baseball, obviously, is number one. I've enjoyed it the whole time.
Final question before we get to rapid fire. The mayor over here, Dave Rickert, says, whatever you do in life, you always do with passion. The passion you both have had for Indiana Tech. And what does Indiana Tech, I'll start with you first, Matt. What does Indiana Tech mean to you?
Well, for me, first, it was an opportunity because I did not get a head coaching job and went there to be an assistant coach and was welcomed with open arms. Dan Klein was the AD there at the time, President Don Andorfer, great men, and gave me the opportunity to not only dip into the college game, but make me feel like part of the family right away. And during that stretch that I was there, President Andorfer brought back that program. He was one. He said, hey, we're going to reinstitute it. Lance Hirschberg did a hell of a job making that program what it is. He built it from the ground up. And it was always nice that President Andorfer come by and go, hey, you see those bleachers going up? And I said, yes, sir, I did. And he goes, what do you think about them? I said, pretty nice little setup from what we had was just a backstop, a fence,
And that's one of the
some
most-
bleachers.
most beautiful
We won
fields there is.
We won our first regional there, our sub regional. We had a backstop, a table back there with the scoreboard, and then all of a sudden now, if you see the facility now, I mean they've even upgraded
absolutely
more.
gorgeous.
But the scene, the lights, just the whole facility, the indoor facility. I mean, when I first went there, we practiced in that old building where the field house is now, but there was nothing there. It was an old classroom, so we're banging ball off of our tennis balls off the desk.
Wow.
That's all we had in there. So then
Wow.
when we came back in from spring or for Christmas break, here we have finally some cages, some turf, and it was on. It was great. So I owe a lot of great memories, great relationships, to what I had at Indiana Tech. It was great. It was a great fit for me, and in return, what they gave me was unbelievable.
Coach?
I mean, I would say the same. My first head coaching opportunity, I hadn't had a whole lot on my resume other than an assistant for a few years and a player a few years before that. Coming from a successful program certainly helped, but that opportunity, Indiana Tech will always hold a special place in my heart regardless. And, we love it here. We love Fort Wayne. My wife and I are growing our family here, and
Best place to live.
and certainly have come accustomed to the Hoosier lifestyle, and when it comes to the passion part, I think that my wife and my family will tell me I turn into a different person on game day.
Yes.
So I'm probably a little more reserved outside of that, and then once that ball goes up in the air, those competitive juices come flowing out. So
Matt was talking about the golf outing he does for Northrop Stab Ready. Do you guys have any golf outings? What can you do to help support?
You know what? We are, this year we will. So a few years ago, we got incredible amount of rain, and crazy part about Indiana is it doesn't have anywhere to go. It just sits on top.
Know that all too well from Take Care of Field.
It's just wild.
Yeah.
So
It is.
It got canceled because of the rain, and then of course COVID hit, and we just haven't jumped that back up. But we will be getting a lot of our basketball camps and our golf outing going again this summer. So
Let us know. We'll get it promoted for you. 'Cause we
That'd
like
be great.
to participate.
And that's what the 260 is all about. It's about supporting the community, and Dave and I are big on that. And now we're going to get to this rapid fire, and I want to send a shout out to Sonar's wife, Crystal, who joined us tonight, and she's the brains behind the rapid fire. But we like it because it kind of gives us a little bit more of an idea of the personalities. And we'll start first with you, Coach, before we get to Matt. What are you watching on Netflix right now?
Ooh, good one. Man, you know what? My wife and I finish TV shows pretty quickly. We're both night owls and morning birds. I would say, I forget the name of. My wife gets to pick them all.
Oh,
So,
of course. Well, that's good.
Agent something. I can't even remember the name
Yeah,
of it.
yeah.
Something agent. That tells you how much TV I watch, though.
How about you, Matt? What you watching on Netflix?
Well, I've watched it about 3 times, but Peaky Blinders
Best
is
show
definitely
ever.
number
best
one.
best show.
That is-
best
Number one,
show.
Peaky Blinders.
Sonar.
Somebody answers it correct.
And
Sonar.
number
That is a
two,
good one.
and number 2 is Cobra Kai. Man, I got to go back to the days, man. I mean,
Look at that. You got his wife all happy.
how can you not like Daniel's son and Johnny just going?
He got
at
me
it?
on that
And I
this
love
summer.
it.
Did he?
and
Yeah,
my wife,
Dave.
we was just nonstop.
Cobra
Well,
Kai.
Dave always says, if you want to learn about the deep state and the New World Order, Peaky Blinders.
Peaky Blinders.
Peaky
is one.
Blinders is a good one.
1913.
Absolutely.
That's one of my favorites,
What's
too.
your favorite restaurant in the fort?
Ooh, my wife and I, honestly, the first one we came to in Fort Wayne was Baker Street, so that's probably one of my favorite
Okay.
spots. That or Cork and Cleaver. Those are
Yeah,
my
Cork
two.
and Cleaver.
Cork and
Yeah,
Cleaver,
that salad
very
bar
good.
is amazing.
Yeah.
What's your favorite Mexican?
Cebollas.
Okay.
Yep.
Man, you put me on the spot. I got to say, Brevin's up in Cherubusco.
I see you.
That's my guy.
That is his favorite restaurant.
That's my restaurant. That's my guy Kevin. Mexican wise, I know you're going to want me to say Azteca.
Correct answer.
And
Correct answer.
but Lalo's is pretty good
Yeah,
over there
yeah.
on
Your first answer was correct.
Yeah, no, Lalo's pretty good too.
Well, it was your first one.
Ted, do you have a chance? And if so, where do you go to recharge? I mean, such an intense season, a great season.
He was down to the Final Four. He hasn't even had a chance.
I know, so that's the question.
He just got back yesterday.
Well,
How do you recharge, and where do you go?
well, if it warms up, the golf course would be a great place to recharge, but
That's next week.
we're not quite
Getting
there
good
yet.
weather next week.
So honestly, just enjoying time with my family, being able to
Sure.
stay home a little bit
Sure.
more.
Hey, you said, what is your favorite golf course in town?
Ooh, we live right next to Chestnut, so I do like Chestnut, but Autumn Ridge is probably one of my favorite spots.
Lance had outings out there.
nice.
Yeah, Autumn's one of my favorite spots. I love the layout there.
How about you, Matt? How do you recharge? I don't know if I've ever seen Matt Brumball not working, but how do you recharge?
I go out back on my deck with a glass of tequila and grill out.
He's a big griller.
I love to.
You love to grill, huh?
I love to grill it. I love to grill it out.
What do you? Okay, if I come to Matt Brumball's place and you're going to grill for me, what's
the go-to?
what's the go-to?
Cajun shrimp.
Woo! Let's go, Cajun shrimp.
Cajun shrimp all day
I
long.
see ya.
Got to do it. About a half glass of tequila and a little bit of country music out there, and we're good to go.
That was my next question. What are you listening to?
Well,
so you're
no,
listening
no,
to
no,
country.
no. So
No?
I'm a little bit of everything, but
Are you?
I like the new country, but hey, I'm a Motley Crue Van Halen guy. Man. I am right.
You hear
out,
that, Sonar?
right, I'm right out of it.
By the way, he got me onto that show, too.
Oh yeah,
That's fantastic, man. How about you, Coach?
You know, I like just about everything, to be
you?
honest with you. With what I have to listen to in the locker room,
Yeah.
I would say anything but that, to be honest with you. Anything but whatever they're listening to,
Great
anything
answer.
but that.
Yeah.
What would you say, Coach, and your numbers are unreal, what is your greatest personal achievement in sports?
Ooh. Well, I mean, it has to be personal.
Personal.
I mean, I'll tell you, there's nothing like climbing up that ladder to cut down a net, knowing you won your last game of your career. I would say that's why I went there and was able to be a part of that. I don't think anything could possibly trump that.
Even your high school?
No way.
all this.
I'll take that over whatever those numbers say all day. I'll tell you, there's no feeling like that. It can't be replicated. Outside of getting married and having a child, I would say that that feeling is incredible.
I can't argue with you about rushing for over 4,000 yards in high school football under the lights of Michigan.
It's somewhere around 4,000, but
Man, what is yours?
Personal accomplishment, I would have to say when I was at Huntington, I had the all-time games played record. that meant more
Luke
to me.
Ward.
That meant more to me than any
Toughness.
other things. And I had success. I mean, I was, all conference, all district, and that. But to play, the amount of games day in, day out, year in, year out for 4 years.
Injuries.
Coach Coach actually took my uniform away from me in Florida because it was just a scrimmage game. I was like, no. What are you doing? You're taking my uniform away. He goes, you're not playing today. I said, I don't know what to do without a uniform. He goes, well, you better figure it out. So he gave me the day off, but that's the only time I think I had a day off in 4 years, and that always meant more to me because of what it meant to me as being a team player and being out there every day and supporting the team. So yeah,
That's without a COVID year too. So
yeah.
That's without
exactly.
that 5th year.
Yeah.
Last question, and I'll start with you, Matt. Then, Coach, I want you to wrap it up. Who was the youth coach, Matt, growing up that made the difference for you?
Dal Ramsey was pretty. He was kind of the guy.
That's a great name.
He was my basketball coach at Pal Basketball, and the guy
He
was
ran
so
Pal.
He was so influential in the way, just how he molded you to be a man at a young age, and I love that. He wasn't afraid to come at you a little
He
bit.
was Bobby Knight for Pal.
And then we're like 12 years old, and he came up to me. He's got us on the bench at a timeout, and he goes, Brumbaugh, you don't start shooting the ball, we ain't winning this game. I said, if I got green light, it's on, buddy. I made sure we won that game. But he was very influential. He just
Good man.
He was great. Obviously a police officer here in Fort Wayne,
Sure.
and gave back to the community in every single way he could possible. So yeah, Big Dow.
Ted?
Mine is Coach Mike Nelson. So actually, it's kind of odd how it worked out. He coached us in my age group in middle school, moved up from 7th to 8th, and then he ended up taking over our varsity program and was originally a women's coach at Rockford High School, which is a larger school in the West Michigan area. And I mean, just the amount of respect that I have for him and how he treated us and the level of expectation, I think that's where I really started to understand how you do anything is how you do everything.
Sure.
My assistant will love that I said that on here, but that's where I probably first initially got the itch and the love, and he certainly instilled a lot of those foundational values that go into being successful in life and basketball.
Beautiful, and I tell you what, it's been an honor. It's Easter weekend, and it's just been an honor to hear you guys speak how much the kids mean to you that played for you, how much Indiana Tech means to you guys, and
to the city.
Yeah,
and to the city, and just the pride of the
think how-
260, Dave.
You think how Indiana Tech has taken that area and just made it beautiful.
Oh, for sure.
Just made it beautiful, and it just feels like a really a focal point of that area down there,
It wasn't
Jeff.
that way when I was growing up.
No, it wasn't. And I tell you what, it's an honor again with the 260, Dave. We got some people to thank. And before you thank some people, Dave, I want to tell everybody, remember, you can find us at YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, at the 260. That's an O, Coach. We have no zeros in the 260, so that's the 260. And, Dave, we got some great people to thank on Easter weekend.
Well, first off, I'd like to thank all our guests that we've had. This is our 5th week. Another stellar 2 guests. Thank you, Matt, for helping. Really appreciate it. We're the whole month of April is booked, and that's pretty amazing. After
It
we
is.
just started 5 weeks ago now. So I want to thank Sonar, my wife,
Charlotte.
Matt, you, especially you, Joe, Denise. Thank you, Denise, for all the work you do. And once again, I hope everybody has a great Easter. Joe is going to be coming over to my dad's house for Easter, break bread.
Yes. And I tell you what, it's an honor, and it's great to give back to our community. It's great to have men like you in the community, and I couldn't be any happier with the way we've launched the show, the 260,
Yep.
Dave. And thank you, Sonar, again. And remember, everybody, we are the 260. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.